Mud FM on the East Coast. We here, man, and might as well just get started like we always get started around this time. We start off with the Word of God. Today we're coming out of Jeremiah 33, verses 2 through 3. Thus says the Lord who does it, the Lord who forms it to establish it. The Lord is his name. Call to me, and I will answer you, and will show you great things and difficult, which you don't know. And this is just really about faith and about knowing who we serve as the creator of this whole universe and this thing. God, the same way he established everything by his word is the power we get, by being Christians. So he's basically saying, put him to the test and let us see what he'll do for you. And me and Big Mike Pluto can all attest to this in our personal lives, and, things that we're at in this stage of life all happen because of just putting our trust and faith in the Lord. And he said it was going to happen. He established it. Here we are today. Different radio networks doing different things for the Lord and great things in our personal lives.
Absolutely. And, I'd really like to shout out Alicia Wexler, who's actually joining us tonight from Hawaii. So thank you so much, as always, Alicia, for joining in.
Go to a luau. What are you doing next to a radio? You're in Hawaii.
But, Alicia, we appreciate you.
Go eat a pig.
I will definitely agree with Pluto. The luau is awesome, but Cw&P is pretty cool as well. So
especially where you can use your cell phone to eat that pig and get some chicken wings and pizza at the same time.
Well, there you go. And that's actually a great point. I love it. Well, so and Hebrew, just to really speak to what we're starting out with tonight, we wanted to do an extra side topping for our fans. And for those of you listening to us, whether it be on Not By Bread Alone, Power, YouTube, Facebook, or either in Roku or the TuneIn app, we wanted to want you guys to chime in. Who is your NBA all-time starting five? And you can pick from any era. You can pick from any time period in NBA history. We're just curious what you think and who you think the top players are at every position. Obviously, point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center in that particular order. And to update those of you who don't know, obviously, we've got a couple conference finals going on tonight. The Nashville Predators have defeated, not deleted, the Anaheim Ducks 2-1 in Anaheim. The Ducks once again failing to defend home ice. It's been a great series, but the Preds now lead 3-2 going home.
Yikes.
Let me ask you a question, Hebrew. In terms of the Ducks having so many struggles at home, what do you feel the problem is? Why are they not able to hold home ice very well at all? And it seems like a constant problem. It was a constant problem in the Edmonton series. So, what exactly is it with the Ducks? Is it a mindset, or what do you think it is?
Well, we got to go back to my favorite team in the NBA. Seems like they're the Clippers of the NHL.
Oh, wow. Well,
and, I know
it's actually not a bad comparison.
Yeah, I'm not even making it in a sarcastic way. We'll get to the jokes later on in the show.
Right.
But in all seriousness, it's like this is always a mental thing, especially when you're at home. To all the other playoff teams and all the other sports. Like, this is the number one thing you should do in the playoffs is defend the home court, home ice, home field, wherever it's at. And it's usually going to back of a lack of mental. My words are not coming out right, Big Mike. But it's usually a lack of mental focus. I don't know what lentil focus is, which is what I was going to say. What's up
Andy
with
Raven?
you, Andy? Good to have you with us this week. But, yeah, this always goes back to mental focus, especially when, you have great talent. We know you're great. You're in the playoffs. You're in the latter stages of the playoffs.
Right.
So we just need to toughen up mentally, stay focused. And, you got to have that never let up type relentless attitude until that final second clicks off the clock.
Well, right. And I think a lot of people would agree with the fact that, unfortunately, the Ducks just have not been able to get it done. Obviously, they were at home last year when they lost to the Chicago Blackhawks in Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals.
Jeremy,
what's going on, man?
Great point.
Brings up a great point. Home ice is not statistically a real advantage in the NHL, and Jeremy's 100% right on that. However, I find it kind of funny that that's the case, being that, the NHL is such a diversified game, and home fan bases do tend to make a difference in pro sports. Jeremy does bring up a good point, though. In hockey, it seems to be a little bit less of a factor as opposed to in the NBA or what have you. And speaking of the National Basketball Association, We got to shout out the NHL playoffs because they have been very watchable, very exciting, a lot of one-goal
High
games.
competition.
Very, very high competition. However, not so much in the NBA. And Hebrew, I really wanted to talk to you about this.
Yes, sir.
The Boston Celtics last night put on the most abysmal performance in the history of a conference finals game.
Yikes.
They were down 41 at halftime, lost by 44, lost their best player for the rest of the series.
Out with a right hip.
Not to mention the fact that we are at the point with the NBA playoffs where these games should be highly competitive. They should be highly structured in a way where we're sitting there and we're watching intriguing basketball. Not only is it not intriguing, but it's to the point where I'm almost compelled to ask Adam Silver to refund the tickets of everybody who's a Boston Celtic fan.
Wow.
Because it's literally that bad a brand of basketball right now. It would actually be better if there was a D-League team on the floor playing instead of the Celtics at this point. Because you literally have
the D-League All-Stars?
Yeah, exactly. Give me the D-League All-Stars. Give me somebody. Heck, give me the college All-Stars. Give me the All-American team. Give me somebody who can play with the Cavs.
Did you just say the McDonald's All-Americans?
I'll take the McDonald's All-Americans at this point. Half of them are probably better than the guys on the Celtics anyway. So let me ask you a question, though.
Yes, sir.
Are the Cleveland Cavaliers this good, or the Boston Celtics this bad, or is it neither? And the fact is that the NBA is just that lopsided.
Right. Before I get to that, I definitely want to shout out Jeremy Fardig because that was an awesome Stanley Cup run for the Kings in 2013.
Oh, it was a great Stanley
Did watch
Cup run
it.
for
They
him.
did go undefeated on the road, so that just more speaking to his point on that.
Very nice,
But
Jeremy.
moving on to this NBA playoffs, I've said it to my brother Mike, my brother Pluto. What's up, Chris? We see you, bro.
Hey, buddy.
But anyways, I have said it to anybody who will listen to Hebrew Talk, which is a few people besides my wonderful fans out there, that this
Very
is
few.
absolutely the worst NBA conference finals I've seen in my 30 years of life, which would probably mean about a good 25 years of basketball, watching it from such a young age. Totally uncompetitive. We've had nothing but a series of blowouts back and forth. And then you get to the conference finals, and it's more
Right.
blowouts by greater margins, especially coming from the Boston Celtics, one of the great playoff teams in NBA history, to do such a poor
Took the score down, of
The
course.
real about being in the FYI studios is
Up 61 to 50.
Yeah. For the Spurs,
50 left in the half.
but really big question that this is the era of super team. And what the super team is doing to the league is really killing competition. People don't want to their own teams for their own cities. They rather just go join up with the people last year,
right,
AKA
Kevin
Cupcake Durant. So that's what they So this is the result of your super team, where every player is a superstar and an all-star. Sorry, brother Pluto, you had some great pizza, pizza, chicken wings, and soda. We had a great session before the show, but
Yes,
yeah,
we did.
Big Mike. The answer to your question is: the era of the super team. This is what you're going to get: is less competition.
Well, and I want to speak to that because I want to take everybody back to a time, and most of our listeners who are in their 30s and 40s will relate to this.
Yeah, sorry, kids out there born 1990 and after.
Correct. So when you had Jordan and Bird and Magic and Dr. J,
Karl
Malone,
Clyde Drexler,
there you go. Just keep
Sean Kemp, Gary Payton.
Go down the list. These were guys who wanted to beat the best in order to get to that threshold of winning
But they
the
wanted
title.
to do it with their guys.
That's my point. You didn't go join somebody else's squad in order to become this super team or super power. You went in and you actually wanted to beat. It's like Dr. J and Larry Bird used to get into fist fights.
Yeah.
I mean, they literally used to fight each other tooth and nail to the death for these NBA championships. And if you look at the 80s, who were they dominated by? By the Celtics,
And the
Larry Bird,
Lakers.
by the Lakers with Magic and Kareem, and then obviously Dr. J. Moses Malone had a foothold on the East early in the 80s, winning 3 Eastern Conference championships in 4 years. But what I think is so interesting about this is now Kevin Durant totally switched the balance of power. LeBron James has done the same thing.
Kevin Love.
And Kevin Love, I mean, all these guys have left and chased titles, but here's the thing. It's not necessarily the fault of the NBA players that the only way that legacies are defined anymore is with championships. Being a Hall of Famer is secondary to being a champion. So when you have these guys chasing titles, you can blame them to a certain extent, but when the way that they're told, oh, you're going to have this legacy or that legacy based on rings, then you're going to have title chasers. But the NBA super team is killing the competition. Look, the Warriors and the Cavs right now are literally going through preseason basketball. That's what this looks like.
And this is supposed to be the best time of year.
Exactly. And it doesn't even look like they're up against anybody competitive at this point. I mean, the Spurs had a 3-point lead in the second quarter, and now they're down 11. And that just speaks to the fact that the Spurs are hurt and all this other stuff. I read a really interesting stat this week. The Golden State Warriors have played 11 playoff series in the last 3 years, including the one they're in. Only twice have they faced a fully healthy roster of starters. And what I find interesting about that stat is when you sit there and you look at that stat and you're going, okay, now that's going to explain why the Warriors have been more than dominant at times. I don't actually think that's the case. I feel like the NBA has gone down. Like last year, you had a really competitive series with OKC and Golden State. But because OKC lost, Kevin Durant leaves, and then you have a bigger problem. LeBron did the same thing when he went to Miami. You had a guy who couldn't beat the Celtics, so he had to go join forces with guys who he could beat the Celtics with. Now, granted, he went back home and won a title, but it's the same thing. Kevin Durant left the Timberwolves doing the same thing.
He still had to do it with a cast of characters, like you're saying. You going down to Miami,
right?
You click up with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh,
and that's my point.
And even when you come back to Cleveland, you got Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love. You're bringing Kyle Korvers into the team. It's like, well, that's a lot of firepower.
Well, right. And the other thing that I wanted to get to as well is I want to bring up some other stars who have done this who people don't remember. Let's not forget Karl Malone and Gary Payton went to the Lakers in 2004 for this very specific reason. They did not go to the Lakers because they hadn't had great careers. It was strictly to chase titles.
But what's the main difference with that, Big Mike? You're talking about players in their prime, and Karl Malone was just trying to be a veteran help to a team.
I'm just talking about in general when we're talking about guys leaving teams for other teams and chasing championships. That's just another example. Kevin Garnett did the same thing. He left the Timberwolves to go to the Celtics. Ray Allen left the, Seattle Supersonics to go play with the Celtics. So there's been a lot of this, and I think that once we start giving legacies back to guys for just being great players, you might see less of this. But let's not forget, in the collective bargaining agreement, this is why the extensions are now so different, because of the fact that the team that the player's with can actually offer them so much more money than a brand new team. That was put in by the owners to try and keep these stars put, or try to keep them where they're at, in order to allow these smaller market teams to keep their stars.
But it's all about, like you said, how we define legacy. The guys you named from the 80s and the 90s, early 90s, it was all about what they meant to their city. They were like superheroes to the kids growing up in their towns.
Right.
And so, they were proud just to play for their city every year, just to play for their fans. But now this is no longer good enough just to be a great player. Your Reggie Millers who could play with one squad the whole time of their career. What he means to Indiana when he goes back to Indiana, they know Reggie Miller. And this is, this is good enough for that generation. But this new generation, it's like it's not good enough unless you win a ring, which is really a poor way to evaluate a player who has meant a lot to children growing up, their peers, older people. It's what they mean to the city, and being a good guy and a good role model and just a great player that you were. That should matter. More of an overall, evaluation of a career, not just did you win a ring or not.
Right. Well, that's fair enough, and I think that speaks to the point where we're headed with all this. And I wanted to bring up something else too. It really is one of these things where we're looking at this broader spectrum for the NBA. And one of the things that in the NBA we see a lot of, Hebrew, is we look at the fact that this is a bad thing. Now, Adam Silver, I wanted to get your take on one final point on this. Adam Silver said this actually isn't a bad thing, and while people are talking about the dominance of the Cavs and the Warriors, people forget that the Cavs had never won a title till last year, and the Warriors hadn't won one in 40 years when they topped the Cavs in 2015. So my question is, does he have a point that maybe the reason that there's a lot of kicking and screaming right now is because your traditional powers are not as good? Or do you feel that it's just bad basketball all the way around right now?
This is the thing. Even when your traditional, whatever you want to call powers were winning, the games were competitive. Mm-hmm. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, we want to see a competitive game, whether you win or lose. Mm-hmm. Like with your blowouts in Houston and the Spurs series. It's like we want to see you guys fight. It's not really about the winning or losing as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I'm a Clippers diehard fan. You know how hard it's been for us to win over the years and how we make our 50 games plus exiting these first round of the playoffs.
Right.
I'm still going to salute my guys who left it all on the floor.
And that's fair.
And so as a fan, as a real homer like myself and people across this great country who love their home teams, people that are living in California, grew up in Chicago, you're still going to see them in their Bulls jersey every day of the week. It's about the legacy and how you fight for your city. People like Boston is mad, not because they lost, but because they lost by 44. So this is what we're really talking about here. Even the Utah Jazz, who were totally outclassed in the last round, on their last game they fought. They lost by margins, but they were fighting. Their fans, they still gave them an ovation when leaving. They didn't leave the stands early because they knew their guys were outclassed, but they still were fighting. And that's what we want to see in sport. Like, we don't care about winning, losing. When you're a real homer, you just want to see your team give their best.
Right, and I think the giving the best part is an excellent point. And I think that this isn't fixing anything. I think the NBA's better when the Lakers, the Celtics, the 76ers, you can go down the list of teams. When they're good, the league is prosperous in a different kind of way. And shout out to the Cavs and the Warriors. They've done their thing. They've had smart front offices. They've had all these things. But I would tend to agree with you. The heroes in certain towns definitely has gone away for the most part because you don't have guys spending their whole career with one team. No. But we will leave it at that. I wanted to get your take on something else, and this is huge news in the fight world. Dana White and Conor McGregor have finalized their side of the negotiations for this super fight between McGregor and Mayweather. And this is such a big topic on this show because we're all three huge fight fans, and we have all of these fans that we love having every week who are definitely loving the fight game as well. And Floyd Mayweather was on record. He was in London earlier this week, and he actually was quoted as saying, "I have a team for negotiating, but as soon as their side, the UFC, communicates with our side, then the fight will happen." So essentially, he's kind of putting it out there that it's all about the paperwork at this point. And now that the UFC's come to a decision, Dana White is looking to meet with Floyd's team later this week, or this next week, excuse me. Do you think this fight's going to happen this year ever? And if you do, is it going to happen soon after this paperwork is signed? Because reportedly, McGregor wants to fight twice this year, the first one being Floyd.
I'm not looking for this fight to happen this year, especially since Floyd likes to have, he's known for his training camps. And he's going to want to have a nice, excellent training camp, especially, for this McGregor fight coming up. So I'm looking the earliest fight, maybe early next year, possibly even the year after. So Conor McGregor's going to have to be a little bit more patient if he really wants this fight to go through with Mayweather, which I'm sure he will be, just for the pure, numbers that he tends to make off of this fight, win or lose.
Right.
So I'm not looking for this fight to take place this year. Again, I speak to Mayweather, his training camps. He's known for having amazing, really good training camps. He puts his all into training to make sure, he's at top form when he gets in that ring.
Of course.
So we'll see what happens. We'll see how long the negotiation takes. And if they don't, if the UFC doesn't agree to Mayweather terms, then the fight's not going to happen anyway. So that's going to be another long part. Like, are you guys going to be able to get the negotiation process to work in your favor, because you're basically going to have to do what Mayweather says.
Well, that's a great point, and I think people don't realize that Floyd Mayweather's not doing this fight if it's anything short of 9 digits with no decimal point. And he is looking for a bigger payday than he had with Pac-Man, and in order to get a bigger payday than you had with Pac-Man, you're going to have to get to a point where you have that payday coming to Floyd regardless of what you agreed to with McGregor. So the fact that these negotiations, Mayweather just saying, oh, once we start talking, we'll just get it done. I don't know that that's necessarily accurate. I think that Dana White's going to have to agree to terms he might not be willing to right away, or he might be going in with the attitude that he knows what Floyd wants. So, hey, we might, be wrong on that. But if this super fight does happen, I think it happens this year for one reason. Because Floyd Mayweather is not going to want to wait an entire year, and I guarantee you, the entire time these negotiations have been happening, him and McGregor have been training. There's no question in my mind that both these guys want this to happen and that these two guys are going to be prepped and ready to go. I think it's a misconception just a little bit that these guys are just fresh out the blocks as soon as the paperwork ink dries. I think they've both been training for a minute for this fight, and honestly, I would be foolish to assume otherwise, only because these two guys are more about their money than anything, and in order to make money, you need hype around this fight. And I honestly think it'll die off if it takes a full year to get this thing going, only because I think the hype is at an all-time high right now. I don't think it gets stronger if you wait longer to do this fight. And I honestly think the deal gets done. When it gets done, I don't know. I don't know that Conor gets to fight twice, but I do think it's going to happen this year. So we will see. I'm anxious to see where that ends up.
Eddie thinks the fight's not going to happen for the next 2 years. He's thinking 2019.
And he may very well be right, but I would tend to disagree with it.
But to your point about the buildup of the fight, Big Mike, I do believe that as long as this fight happens within the next 2 or 3 years, it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. Because this is something that, and this is why I say it, there's a big debate, especially somebody like myself who's a pure boxing fan. I don't think the UFC is as good as boxing. Boxing to me is, this is a sport that men have been testing each other at literally since the dawn of time. Sport that takes places in people's backyards every day.
Right.
Boxing is one of the most purest forms of competition. I love it. To me, UFC is a little bit more just not as clean cut and not as much as boxing. So this is the thing that I'm really looking for in the fight, and I know a lot of fans are, is you have a lot of fans who prefer UFC over boxing. And
Absolutely.
so just the two coming together, UFC and boxing, is like, the mixed martial arts and the boxing world. People are going to want to see this if it takes another 2 to 3 years. It's going to keep building up. We want to see. This is basically going to solve, if it ever happens, who's better, who's more dominant, which sport is actually the better sport, the boxer or the mixed martial artist.
Right.
So I think the anticipation is going to be there no matter how long, this fight takes, as long as it's within the next 2 to 3 years.
I actually like the way you put that, too. I mean, I understand the anticipation part building up. I just don't know that because this match by a lot of people, not necessarily us, is viewed as a totally one-sided thing.
Yeah.
I don't know that the anticipation will be there quite like a boxing match would, only because, we got to wait around 2 or 3 years for a guy who might lose in 30 seconds.
Exactly.
And if that perception is out there, which I know it is for some people, then you're going to have people going, well, I don't want to wait that long for this fight because it might not, McGregor might not be as ready in a year. So it's one of those things, and Conor McGregor's not going to put his bread and butter, which is UFC, on hold so he can fight Floyd in Floyd's best arena.
Yeah, all I'll say is there's much more bread and butter in a Mayweather fight than any UFC fight he can
buddy,
take.
I will I'll never dispute that with you, but I'm saying for Mayweather to feed his family, and shout out to him and his better half.
You talking about McGregor?
Mayweather
ain't worried about feeding his family.
No. McGregor just actually had a new baby boy, so congratulations to him on that.
Good job. I hope your son doesn't have to see you get beat too early in life.
Oh, that's rough. So I wanted to go to another topic, and this one is actually fairly new. So record rainfall in the LA area this year, and as everybody knows, the Chargers, who were hated for leaving San Diego, and the Rams, who were hated for leaving St. Louis because St. Louis stole them from LA. Essentially, we'll have to wait now another year till 2020 for the stadium in Inglewood to be open. The rainfall has actually caused a lapse in the construction to the point where they're not able to build appropriately to get the deadline met. Where this really affects the LA Rams franchise and Stan Kroenke in particular is they were hosting the Super Bowl in 2020. The NFL has a clause that not a lot of people know about that you cannot host a Super Bowl in the first year of your stadium's existence. So they would actually have to be put on hold for a waiver to host the Super Bowl in 2020. So they wouldn't be able to do that. They'd have to do it down the road. My question is, more than just the Super Bowl, how is this going to affect the fanfare, the ticket sales, the battle for LA in general? And with now the StubHub Center being the Chargers' home for the next 3 seasons, not 2, that's 1 more year of declined ticket sales. That's another year where you're going to have to try to win fans without a big stadium, without, a large stage to play on. And for the Rams, I mean, they're in the Coliseum, so it's not that bad. But both of these teams were awful last year. So my question is, are we at a point where there's any saving grace here, or is this going to adversely affect both teams?
Well, for the Rams, I would say they're probably all right because of the simple fact that they are the LA team, like you mentioned, earlier in the show. Coliseum is actually an epic, stadium to play at. It's legendary. It's historical. So fans are going to be happy going to Coliseum for, extra year or two.
Mm-hmm.
Won't really be too mad about that. That's like just a historical landmark. Anybody in the Southern California area.
Right.
On the other hand, your Chargers, they're going to have a tough time anyway for at least the first 10 years in LA.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, San Diego really, were hurt by the losing of that franchise.
Oh, without a doubt.
StubHub Center is not as, great of a venue as the LA Coliseum.
Oh, no.
So they definitely needed the new stadium more than the Rams did.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, the Chargers are going to have a hard time winning over LA fans, period.
Right.
Maybe Orange County will, show favor to the Chargers. Who knows?
Right.
But I know the LA Rams, even though they're horrible, the players are not, even though they're horrible, the players are not as good as they, we were hoping them to be when we first came back to LA. They definitely have a better chance, with fans and selling season tickets than the Chargers do.
100% I would agree. And I think that this is just yet another reason, NFL franchises, that you shouldn't be moving yourself all over the country. Stay put, stay in your community, and if you make a decision to move, just move and just leave it alone. But don't be moving expecting something to be built, and now you are adversely affected, by the fact that now you're going to a point where you're not going to be able to provide the revenue, and you don't get to host a Super Bowl, which is such a big deal, obviously, for revenue purposes. And not only
that's for the whole city,
and that's
there.
for the whole city, the state in certain cases,
hotels, restaurants.
So it's going to be tough. So we all talked about this. I think it was last week, as a matter of fact. So Magic Johnson tended to know something the rest of us didn't. Tended to know something that the rest of us didn't. He knew that the Lakers were going to get a top 3 pick. However, when Luke Walton made that statement, we were questioning whether or not the Lakers would end up with a top 3 pick. Well, coincidentally, the Celtics, the Lakers, and the Sixers, who we were talking about earlier as dominant franchises in the 80s, all ended up with pick number 1, 2, and 3, and to round out the top 5 was the Suns and the Kings. So, I want to know, Hebrew, is Magic Johnson getting some special treatment here? And is the NBA draft lottery really a lottery? Or is it just we're going to put the 3 most popular teams, or 3 of them, in the top 3, give them the best selection of picks, and bring the NBA back that way, as opposed to giving a team like Sacramento the top pick, who's been down for countless years, 2 decades worth of utility, or the New York Knicks for that matter. I mean, I know it's a conspiracy theory a little bit, but is the NBA draft lottery really a lottery?
I mean, when you got a guy coming out a week before the lottery saying, I'm guaranteeing you a top 3 pick, and it's supposed to be a random thing. The percentages weren't even that great for them getting the top 2, 3 pick.
Actually, Phoenix had a better chance of getting a top 3 pick, and they ended outside the top 3.
Exactly. They're in the 4 spot. So when you have stuff like that going on, and the Lakers, like you said, one of the most storied franchises in the NBA, had they not got the top 3 pick, they would have lost the pick altogether. And so they basically assured they didn't lose the pick, and they have the luxury to do whatever they want as far as that number 2 pick goes. So I definitely think, conspiracy theory or not, there's something fishy going on with the lottery. And many people are thinking that the lottery should be, totally together, outdone with. It's an antiquated type of process, and it should really just go to, if you're the worst team, you get the first pick. If you're the second worst team, you get the second pick. This is much more fair for competition and stuff like that. And if that would have happened, the Lakers wouldn't have did too well, because we saw they couldn't even tank properly at the end of the season.
No, and
so
and
we need to
that's
do
very
away
true.
with the lottery. If you're the worst team in the league, you get the first pick. I mean, it's the same thing that happens when we're playing on the park. Whoever loses, they get to pick up who they want. They choose the best, from the other team. If that's the only few people left, and usually, you end up getting a team that can knock off that team that was running the court. So
it's a very good point.
The real draft happens every day at the park, people.
Well, and what I'll say about the NBA draft lottery is this. I've thought for years, the point has been brought up on this show, LeBron to the Cavs, Nick Ewing to the Knicks. I mean, you can go down the list of draft picks.
Lonzo to the Lakers.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, are you kidding me?
And it's one of those things where I think we're at a point where we just need this to be done. And I love your idea. Hey, if you got the worst record in the league,
pick who you want first.
Pick who you want first, and
That's
let's just
how
call
we
it
do
a
at
day.
the park, Mike?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, shoot, they never pick me first, but I mean, that's a whole different
Well, I don't
story.
have that problem. When they see me out there, they're like, let's go with LaCyrus.
Yeah, you're right. You carry a basketball. But anyway, my point
Mike,
being,
do we have to have a one-on-one game for the fans to see
Oh,
who?
we can.
Because
if you
I know
want.
I don't play the video games, but
can-
on the
you can
hardwood,
if-
there's actually
is-
a gym downstairs here too, so it could definitely happen.
Is Mike saying that? Is he challenging you to a
I
one-on-one?
think this is a challenge.
We could do
I
that.
think this is a challenge. You see, he doesn't even want to make it. We heard it as a challenge, but you see, he doesn't want to make it as a challenge.
Name the park and the time.
Oh,
There's a court downstairs.
There's a gym downstairs.
There's a court
we can do
downstairs.
And
Well, that's totally fine. we can do this
next
all
Saturday.
day.
Next Saturday we come in early,
There's a
and we
court-
do first person to 10.
Nice.
There's a
I'm all
court.
for it.
And-
I don't know if he's going to have enough conditioning for 10
Oh,
points.
Oh, that's not
Pluto.
right. That's not right.
That's not okay.
That's not okay.
Goodness.
That's not Christian.
So anyway, we want to.
That's right, Josh. Oh, wait. Never mind, Josh. We're done with you, buddy.
Yeah, we're not. As a matter of fact, I'm glad you brought up Josh. We are not done with Josh. We are actually going to be speaking to Mr. Joshua Salaberry tonight on Hebrew's Homestyle Fries. It's the first time we've ever had
Sounds
this segment.
delicious to me.
And we will actually be doing that after the break. And before we get to Josh, we are actually going to be talking. LeVar took it a little bit too far this week, Hebrew. We're going to talk about LeVar Ball, his controversial comments, and what we think. And we'd love to know
Does
what you
LeVar
think.
Ball need to be committed or not?
Yeah, we
After the break.
He's not too. He might be right.
Oh, my goodness. Anyway, I want to shout out Not By Bread Alone, Power 102, Facebook, YouTube, Roku, TuneIn, and obviously FYI Ministries. We're doing everything from their beautiful studios in Mission Viejo, California. And thank you so much for listening to Cw&P on a Saturday night. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
Darlene, what up? Picasso, what up? Pluto, what are we riding to?
We're gonna do some Hebrew.
Yours truly,
There you go. All right.
produced by Pluto and mixed and engineered. All that boys hot.
You should be better than that. You should be better than that. 2017, we could do better. I could do better. You could do better. Show 'em life is more than making money cheddar. Chuck E. Cheese, all I wanna be. Make some dough, call me sauce, off the boss. Careful, cause these raps will knock you off track. That's the life I used to lead. Tell Jesus intervene. Jesus off the on the scene like you can do better. 2014, I gave my life completely. Never look back, you can do the same, Brody. Jesus sold me everything, breaking chains, healing pain, stop the rain, calm the sea. He the king, Prince of Peace, lion up, Judah beast, never seen defeat. Devil under our feet like Michael Jackson beat it. Devil don't care about us at all. Kill, steal, and destroy. You wanna see us fall? No, it sounds straight, but I just wanna see you ball. I ain't talking racks, I ain't talking stacks, talking soul salvation. Jesus coming back. Keep my riches up in heaven, hope you do the same. Book of life, VIP for peculiar people. Fish your rod out, hoping I can reach these people. Armor strapped tight as I fight against this evil. Lightsaber swinging Jedi to these Christian people. Hebrew Kenobi, Project Pluto. He be Yoda. I can be better than that. You can be better than that. We can be making mistakes. We can be taking the wrecks. You should be better than that. You should be better than that. force. Force awakens what we trying to do. Awake the force laying dormant inside of you. Like a seed become a tree and it produce fruit. Horror baby out the womb, this is new life. We can all do better once we get with Christ. No more gamble, no more risking life. Up all night, standing on that block, making sure your money right. Re-up again like Boost Mobile. Used to hustle all day, chirping on Boost Mobile. Rapping for the hood, trying to make this local global. Way I used to trap, I could be the trapper logo. COS was the click, BLR the label. Jesus came and flipped the tables in my temple. Life in pieces, trying to put it back together. That's a puzzle, couldn't solve like a Rubik's Cube. Yeah, I stumble in the blindness just like Paul did. Fix me up, gave me new name just like Saul of Tarsus. Lock swing, I'm a Hebrew, I just came to bang. Lock swing. I could be better than that, you could be better than that. We could be making mistakes, we could be taking the wrecks. You should be better than that. You should be better than that. You should be better than that. I could be better than that, you could be better than that. We could be making mistakes, we could be taking the wrecks. Team Jesus Cloud, crew for 17 on everything. Bling, 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 bling. Heaven is our dream. 2017, declare the overflow. Open the doors and windows to your soul. Give control to the Holy Ghost. Watch them mold like the clay. Make us better day by day. I believe us by the hand, just like little children. Shepherd us like little lambs. Trust in your protection. Yeah, how we are raw. All our faith in your provision. No longer put our trust in evil world system. Citizens of a whole different greater kingdom. My wife gave me citizen watch, so I remember. Time is close, you can come back now any day. I suggest you stay ready like Uncle Chopper say. Forsake all and trust him like my pops Marty. Construction building like new gems, word of foot prophet. Catch me on foot with this gospel like my brother. JJ3, MOG, KD, my brothers. I could be better than that, you could be better than that. We could be making mistakes, we could be taking the wrecks. You should be better than that. You should be better than that. You should be better than that. I could be better than that. You could be better than that. We could be making mistakes. We could be taking the wrecks. You should be better than that. You should be better than that. You should be better than that. I could be better than that. You could be better than that. We could be making mistakes. We could be taking the wrecks. You should be better than that. What up, Cw&P Nation?
What up, Fally? Welcome back. This is another great night of Cw&P Nation, the only bestest ever Christian sports talk show from a Christian perspective. I know that's a little redundant, but you know we are super Christian around here. Call us Jesus freaks. Call us what you want. And we're very happy to be in the beautiful Mission Viejo, California from the FYI Studios in syndication with Not by Bread Alone Radio and Power 102 FM. And anybody else, Big Mike? I don't want to forget.
Well, you already said FYI, and we're on Facebook, YouTube,
the Roku, the
app,
TuneIn.
and TuneIn.
Sponsored by your boys truly, Cloud Crew 417.
Absolutely.
We got, what do we got, Mike? We got shirts, hats, beanies.
Hats. We got sweet Cw&P gear as
cell phone covers for your iPhone.
Have that as well.
We're waiting on Pluto to get us a new Cw&P Nation shirt so y'all can get that too.
Well, absolutely. And if you could see Pluto, he's got on an awesome Cloud Crew.
See how I just called him out on the radio, folks. Now he got to do it.
Speaking of calling people out, so LeVar took it too far this week, and there's a lot of people who got to see a side of LeVar Ball that a lot of people believed existed but weren't sure yet. But we saw it on Fox, on FS1 this week, and Fox Sports Radio on the Colin Cowherd
Wait a
show.
minute. What did Andy say he's bringing pizza for?
I don't have any idea. Anyway,
Andy, we're going to hold you to it.
Andy, you can just bring pizza, period. But basically this week on the Colin Cowherd show, Christine Leahy, who is his co-host, was asking LeVar Ball a few questions, and she's been very critical of LeVar Ball's Big Baller brand, which a lot of people have been, including us. She was trying to ask him questions, and LeVar Ball, quote-unquote, told her to stay in her lane.
What, putting a hand up?
And while putting his hand up.
Very disrespectful.
And saying he was afraid of her and that he would not speak to her. Now, he said that sarcastically, keep in mind. He also went on to insult women in general, saying he didn't need to appeal to women with the Big Baller brand because he's not running a woman's company. And went on to insult Jason Whitlock, who's also an FS1 personality. And if you guys know who Jason Whitlock is, he's a larger gentleman. And basically, LeVar said the only thing he's an expert in is snacks. And essentially, now
Pluto, that's not okay.
Now, while it is,
we're all experts in snacks on this show.
I was gonna say I'm an expert in snacks for sure. But my point
you have a
is
PhD in snacks.
Oh, what's the best snack right now? Go on, Big Mike.
You know, the best snack going right now is Twinkies filled with whipped cream. That's the best.
That's
snack
an oldie but goodie from childhood right there.
Absolutely. But I want to ask you a question. Pluto, I want your take on this because Hebrew and I have been exhaustive with how we feel about this guy. Is this now a new low for LeVar Ball that he's not going to be able to come back from? Or is he just going to keep getting free FaceTime as long as nobody's rioting in the streets at ESPN?
I think as long as ESPN will put him on shows and give him an opportunity to say crazy stuff. Right now he's just going for the headlines. So he knows what's going to happen when he talks to the girl like this on the show. He knows what the headline's going to be the next day.
Josh shouted out your bird. He liked it a lot, Pluto. I just want to let you know here on Facebook Live.
But
my bird.
Bird, what you say?
Oh, yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Josh.
But I have a question.
Appreciate it. Yes.
Is he ever going to say anything that anybody's going to find not worthy of coming back from at this point? Or can LeVar Ball pretty much say anything he wants outside of a racially motivated conversation or something?
He's done that before.
I was going to say that's probably.
You know what?
I think at this point.
Absolutely right. He has. I'm sorry. I totally forgot about the comments
he's
he made.
Horrible.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's even done that.
At this point, it's got to be. He's just going for headlines. And as long as you're going to put him on the radio, as long as we're going to put him on TV, as long as ESPN's going to interview him, and he can do outrageous things, at this point, it's the WWF. I mean, we're just watching
really
people.
Good comparison.
I love that analogy.
We're watching people
so
just
fake.
just fakey for the sake of
Faking.
selling their product.
Yeah.
It's one big WWF.
So, boys, let me ask you a question, and we would love you to chime in, Cw&P Nation. Is it time to just stop talking about LeVar Ball? Is it time to give him no more airtime and all this outrageous stuff he does? We just leave him alone?
What I will say, based on the comments he made to the lady on Fox Sports 1 is, I'm a father of 4 beautiful daughters. My wife loves me very much. There's a lot of beautiful women in my family. When you begin to disrespect women on this level, like me and Big Mike were saying on the ride up here out to Mission Viejo today, women are going to be the ones buying their sons these shoes that you're trying to sell. Women are going to be buying these shoes for their husbands, potentially. I will say potentially, as we know your sales are not doing too good out there, LeVar Ball. Your shoes are ugly. You're stealing logos from college programs. And like I said before the break, the new, when we talk about LeVar Ball, the segment should LeVar Ball be committed today, which is what we all really want to know. Are you kidding me right now, Big Mike? This is a professional show.
This is
a professional show, and you're over here.
We're just
You know what?
There's nothing
you
professional.
and Josh Soliberry.
We're trying to.
That's not how you do it, bro.
I do want to throw this stat out.
We have no budget.
You brought up the fact.
What is that?
Darth Vader. You got Darth Vader
What
on
is
the
that,
phone?
Mike?
Pluto, is that Darth Vader?
But I do want to throw a stat out real quick before we get to Hebrews home style fries. He brought up the fact that there weren't many pairs of LeVar balls, or excuse me, Lonzo balls. Hard to tell the difference.
Zoe balls?
The Zoe 2s.
And why are they called Zoe 2s when there's not a 1 yet?
I have no idea. But I wanted to bring up the fact that it is being reported by 12up.com that he has sold between 500 and 600 pairs of the shoes, and the net sales are estimated to be anywhere between $272,000 and $275,000, which is way off of what was being reported earlier.
And what about the fact that he won't even pull him out the shoe case, the case, so people can actually touch him who purchased
How
them?
about the fact
Like
that-
Shannon Sharp, are they going to fall apart? Are they constructed poorly?
Can we get to the fact that he isn't even at the point with this shoe where you can start talking about the fact that, oh, it's being marketed by this person, or this person's picking it up, or this is how much we've
Andy
sold.
said LeVar Ball versus Brook Lesnar.
At
Brock
SummerSlam.
Lesnar.
Andy, you would love that. But listen,
I would want to see that one, Andy.
So that everybody knows, this will be our last LeVar Ball segment. We are not
No, it
bringing.
won't. I'm sure.
You
sure,
don't think so?
Of course.
I don't think it should be. I like
he'll do
talking about
something.
it.
Do you like talking about LeVar?
No, but he'll do something
know
that
what I
we'll
like?
have to talk
You
about.
have to
You
talk
really
about
feel
it.
that way?
He'll do something.
Okay,
I mean,
fair enough.
it'll,
Okay, so folks, it's not going to be
we
the
can't
last
shoot
one.
ourselves in the foot.
But
That's
anyway,
ratings.
we want to get to Hebrew's Homestyle Fries, and that's actually being sponsored by Whipped Up by Wit. If you've ever had my wife's desserts, which
I
Hebrew
have.
and Pluto have,
Delicious.
it's
So
amazing.
good.
And
So
Josh
good.
Salaberry, our guest this evening,
good.
has actually
better get
also
you some
had Whipped
delicacies.
Up by Wit. Josh, you are on live on Cw&P with Hebrew, Pluto, and Big Mike. How you doing, buddy?
Or should we say Josh Vader?
Yeah, dude, when you were breathing earlier, we weren't sure.
What up, Josh? I'm just playing, man.
So this is our first Hebrew's Homestyle Fries, and what we want to do, Josh, since you are in the KC Mo area, we wanted to bring
What
up
in the world is KC Mo
That'd be
for everybody
Kansas City,
who's
Missouri.
never lived in Kansas City?
Kansas City, Missouri. Anyway,
I heard you guys got good barbecue out there.
Josh, do you want to take that one? I would second that. I gained my 100 pounds when I lived in Kansas City. So anyway, Josh, I want to get to a couple things with you, buddy. And the first one is obviously we used to talk a lot about the Royals when I was out there. And when I was out there, the Royals were winning AL pennants and winning the World Series.
How many years back was that? Wow.
Like 2. But anyway, they look awful this year. Do you actually think they actually have the talent to turn this thing around at all, or do you think they're pretty much sunk from this point going forward?
You know, I do believe they have talent. You know, they do have the ability to turn around. I mean, got a lot of baseball left. I mean, they're sitting at 17-24, last in their division. I mean, 5.5 games back behind the Twins. But like you said, it's 180 games. You know, they have the hitting. The right guy in there with the death of Ventura. I mean, that's a big blow. So.
Absolutely. So, well, no, and I would tend to agree, and I like the fact that Ned Yost is still their manager. I think they actually can make a really nice comeback, but we were talking about it last week on the show, Josh. Do you think 40 games is too quick to evaluate? Do you think you need more time as a fan to look at the Royals?
Yeah, 40 games is too quick. With baseball, you got to look at how teams are playing after the All-Star break, because that's when I think it really matters.
No, I would agree with that.
I mean, like I said, with baseball, you can be last in the conference and make a big push and, you know, get a wild card or even be the top of your division.
No, and I love the point, and I actually think that that's very well said. That's a lot of what we were talking about last week on the show.
That's a great point, Josh, but that wild card is all y'all can hope for this year. Anyways, I want to talk about the Chiefs with you a little bit. How do you feel about the move the Chiefs made to trade up and take Patrick Mahomes?
Man, I think that's the best move they've made in probably the past 5 years. I mean, they addressed the issue with what everyone is worried about is who is going to be the quarterback of the future. And, I mean, I think Patrick Mahomes, he's going to be that guy. I honestly believe he's going to be the one who can push the Chiefs over that hump and get us to the Super Bowl.
Did you hear Alex?
So you're
did you
saying
hear Alex Smith?
You're saying we should start calling him Patrick McFly, huh?
Yeah.
Did you hear Alex Smith when he was responding to what he thought about the get?
Well, I mean, but
It was very
let's be
sad.
honest with Alex Smith. Of course, he's going to be sad. Look what Cap did to him.
Right.
So, I mean, the fact that Mahomes is
Gonna happen again, buddy.
I mean, and
He was
Josh,
like, I get it, I understand.
Josh,
I've been here 13 years, but I still think I have. I mean, it was. So
I hope
sad.
he really didn't sound like that because
It
that's
was
pathetic.
It was very downsounding. It
So,
was bad.
Josh, I want to get to this part because it sounds like you're excited about Mahomes. So,
I am.
they won the AFC West last year, and a lot of the criticism, obviously the defense played very well. They lost Derek Johnson to that other Achilles injury, which was killer, in the middle of the season. But the fact is that Alex Smith has received a lot of the blame, and obviously that divisional game against Pittsburgh where the defense didn't even give up a touchdown, yet they still lost 18-16 on 6 field goals at home, brought back memories of the Lynn Dawson game from 95 when they couldn't even make a field goal.
Oh my gosh.
Do you feel like this is going to change with Alex Smith no longer being the quarterback? Because the interesting thing is Mahomes, they're saying, is not going to be ready for 2 or 3 years. Now, that may not be true. Obviously, Dak Prescott stepped in and impressed the heck out of everybody. But do you feel like, as a Chiefs fan, that all the blame is deserved to be on Alex Smith for not being able to matriculate the ball down the field? Or do you feel like there's more to it than just 1 or 2 instances?
There's blame to go around. I mean, with the coaching, they developed that system, to cater to his ability to. I mean, he's a field general, so I mean, with the coaching, they should have developed more plays to where he can show his arm, because I mean, you see videos of it even when in the Pro Bowl last year. He threw a nice long pass to I believe Delaney Walker in the end zone, corner of the end zone.
Yeah, that would be correct. Yes.
But so again, you got the coaching staff and whoever is working with him on that. And then also, I mean, he's turned 33 years old this year, actually on the 7th. So happy birthday, belated birthday, Alex Smith. I mean, he's at that point in his career. Do I either want to prolong it, or do I just want to go ahead and call it quits? But it seems like he wants to prolong. So what any quarterback would do is let's check down and not take hits.
Well, and that's fair enough. And the coaching point is actually really good, because I don't think enough people realize that Andy Reid, while he's a great coach in his own right, went to 5 NFC title games and only got past 1 of them, and then didn't even win the Super Bowl that he was in. And Kansas City's been hurting for a playoff win since 1993. So I definitely like the coaching perspective on that. Just out of curiosity, before we get to the track meets from today, how do you think the Chiefs fare, especially with the Raiders being back at full health?
Honestly, I mean, hometown team. I love my Chiefs, diehard fan. I want to say that they're gonna win the AFC West again this year, but I mean, the way the Raiders are looking this year, they got Carr back. I mean, he's a phenomenal quarterback. We actually passed up on him a couple of drafts ago to draft Dontari Poe, which he is, I believe, signed with the Falcons. And then they acquired Beast Mode, which is one of my favorite running backs. I mean, sorry to say this, but I think the Raiders are going to take the AFC West.
Wow.
I tend to agree with you, Josh. I keep
would
trying to
agree with
tell
that,
Big
too.
Mike he wants to hate, but Beast Mode coming back is going to be amazing.
I mean,
yes, you have. No, you
West
have
since we
not.
started this
No, you
with
have
the way
not,
things
Big
are
Go look
looking
it
Mike.
up.
now,
It's on
with the way
record. Go
things are
look it
looking
up.
right now, I mean, the only 3 teams in the AFC West that can compete is Chiefs, Raiders, and Broncos. I mean, San Diego,
You really think the Broncos have a chance with Trevor Siemian at quarterback?
I mean, hey, Broncos have shocked many people. I mean, even
Yeah,
myself.
they have by not making the playoffs last year.
Wow.
But anyway, I want to get to some more important business. So, how did Jason and Deshaun's track meet go today?
Oh man, they finished first and second in their heat in the 800. I mean, not 800,
The
400
400?
today. Deshaun came out. He set a commanding tone to the race.
Very nice.
Followed by, I mean, he led the first 300 meters. Then Jason just came up, cleaned it up, and I mean, they look phenomenal today.
Very, very nice.
That's awesome.
And for those of you who don't know, Jason is Josh's son, my nephew, and then obviously Deshaun is his nephew. And they run for the Stride Right track team in Kansas City, Missouri. So shout them out and the entire Stride Right track team.
And as you heard by their great finish, and their strides are right.
Yes, absolutely. I would agree. That's very good, Hebrew. Hebrew, I think we have one more question for Josh, do we not?
All right, Josh, this is something I really want to know from you. So debate we've been having in the studio here for the last couple weeks, and just know Big Mike's picks are horrible. But anyways, who is your all-time starting five out there, Mr. Soliberry?
My all-time favorite starting five. I mean,
Yes.
you got to go with the Bulls from 95 to 98. I mean, that's nowhere.
You
No,
But honestly, this was a hard one. I mean, it took a little time for me to actually sit down and think about it. But I mean, I got I think probably the best starting five that no one can touch. I mean, for point guard, I got to go with Allen Iverson.
I like that AI pick.
A lot of people were saying, I got to go with Westbrook, but I mean,
I'll take AI over Westbrook any day.
I got to go with a ball distributor, and Iverson, he can distribute the ball along with scoring.
Real point guard.
For shooting guard, I mean, MJ all the way, man.
all day.
I chose him over Kobe Bryant, but their game is a little similar. But Jordan, I mean, he's my number one pick on that.
That's awesome.
Small forward, I mean, you can't have Jordan without Scottie Pippen.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, there, okay.
Wow.
That's
I
very
thought
nice,
about
Josh.
Scottie Pippen. Yeah.
I don't like
Pippen,
it, Josh.
I mean,
There's much better small forwards.
He is the original LeBron James. I mean, he.
Oh,
can,
my goodness. Did this phone just lose
I mean,
service?
he can bang inside.
Hang up
he
on
can
him.
shoot from outside. He can take over the game
Josh.
when when need be. But I mean, like I said,
Respectful to the guest.
LeBron.
I can't.
I didn't choose
I
LeBron
can't.
because he's a crybaby.
Scottie Pippen is.
You
is
just
LeBron.
compare
LeBron.
Scottie Pippen to LeBron James, Josh?
No, Scotty's better.
Oh!
Scotty is better.
Are you watching Facebook Live right now, Josh?
This man's on bath salts.
Are you watching Facebook
Hey,
Live while you're talking to us? If
hey,
you would have
hey.
saw me in Big Mike's face.
Hey, Josh.
Is he on
whatever-
bath salts?
Whatever is in the barbecue in Kansas City, I
want some. Could you
Uh,
please freeze dry it and ship it out?
You can't put bath salts in the barbecue.
I will send you
Might as
guys
well
some
throw
gate
the
sauce
baby out
and
with the
seasoning.
bathwater on that one. Jeez. Okay, so who's your power forward since I've
I don't
lost-
even care who his power forward is anymore.
No, I want to know
Power
who is it.
forward?
If it's Horace
Dennis
Grant, we're
Rodman,
hanging up.
the
Horace
rebounder
Grant?
of the team.
Is that what you're going to tell us?
Larry
Dennis,
Bird.
Dennis Rodman. He is my power
Oh,
forward.
gosh.
Actually, that's not a terrible pick.
I actually chose him over Kevin Garnett, man.
I just want to know this. How many pairs of Jordans do you own, Josh?
How many pairs of Jordans I used to own?
Yeah, I
Man,
want to
Yeah,
know
how
that.
many?
a lot.
I know you did.
And if your center's Bill Cartwright, we're no longer friends.
Wellington?
No. My center is. I mean, there's no other better center than Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh,
There you
right.
go. Okay, we can agree on that for sure. Listen,
The big statue.
Josh, I want to thank you for being the first ever guest on this show on Hebrew's Homestyle Fries.
And I want to thank you much more than that, Josh, because
Oh,
you made it
thanks
possible for this
uh,
segment to
having
actually
me,
come to
man.
life.
I really enjoy it.
No, man, and we appreciate you, Mo, the boys, Brittany, Valerie, and Rashad, Derek, all of you guys. I love you all, and hopefully we'll get to see you soon enough. But, hey, buddy, thanks so much for being on the show and giving us your time, dude.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank
God
you.
bless, Josh. We appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
All right.
God bless. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
All right, thanks, buddy. And ladies and gentlemen, that was Hebrew's Homestyle Fries. That
The
was our
debut.
first, and that is sponsored by Whipped Up by Wit. And I do want to get to something before we go. Would you like the score? Yes, please. Can we get the score of the game?
With 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter, Golden State is leading 100-88.
Okay, so that game's actually closer than I thought it would be.
11
It's
minutes.
over already. Just like the
90
last
to
two.
190 now.
Okay, so fair enough. But I want to get to something before we head to the break. Again, thank you to Josh. Monique, you are very welcome. Thank you so much. Blake Griffin just did what he does in the regular season on our desk. He fell over. But anyway, I want to get to something.
And now he's not facing the right way. Come on, Flake Griffin.
There we go. Okay, so anyway, he doesn't know how to post up in real life either.
My goodness.
But I want to get to something.
That's the game.
Very nice. You're adding in sounds of the game. I love it.
I like that.
Sorry, just wanted to. Okay.
So I want to get to the most
Nothing like shoes squeaking on that hard floor.
Nothing at all. I want to get to the most important part of the show before we head to break, and that is our deep dish segment. I apologize. We're actually going to take a station break real quick, and then when we come back, we're going to get to the most important part of the show and head into deep dish. Again, thank you to all our affiliates, Not by Bread Alone, Power 102, obviously Roku and TuneIn, Facebook, YouTube, everybody who allows us, and obviously FYI and the ministries here at Mission Viejo Christian Church. We definitely appreciate you guys and the opinions, and thank you again to Josh Soliberry.
And don't forget our sponsors, Whipped Up by Whitney, Cloud Crew 417, Planet on Pluto.com.
We'll be back on a Saturday night on Cw&P.
It's a cloudy day.
Cloud Crew 417. I ran somewhere that the children of Israel, when they escaped Egypt, they were led through the wilderness by a cloud during the day, cloud of fire by night. Something about that hit me, just made me feel right. Now you know, cloudy day. Just made it to the last page in my notebook. Hope I don't run out of lines for the hook. Come back, Jesus coming back, back to back, like the Lakers when they had Shaq. Team winning every year, all glory to Yah. Just a holy crew serving food, that's all Jah. Let me feed my sheep what I heard from the Lord. So I cook it up with a little spice of salt. Let them know to the serve, we are the salt. Nothing going down without clearance from my God. Gotta serve so great, that's why I'm screaming Yah. Yah, 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 Yah. Yahweh to Zabah, yeah, that's my God. Said he made this world, everything is not out of this world. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. Sun shining bright, still a cloudy day. Got the crew with me, came to give praise. Every year I year like the Rose Parade. Got the crew with me, it's a cloudy day. Every year I year like the Rose Parade. Sun shining bright, came to give praise. Every year I year like the Rose Parade. Got the crew with me, it's a cloudy day. 16 bars, 15 left, time to talk about my God. He the king, he the God, boss of the squad. He the king, he the God, boss of the squad. Had to say it twice, had to worship, show him love. That's my daddy, that's my father, why I call him Abba. He was there, helped my mama when she lost my father. He ain't died where he disappeared, you thought he did. Mama died, tears I cried, I was 17. Hit the block with some work, started hustling. I was lost, I was stumbling. Papa called me home, I left roaming to his arms. Babylon beat my spirit man and left scars. Found a doctor who could heal me and erase some scars. Took a while for me, I was busy chasing stars. But my God's so patient, he just waited on me. Sun shining bright, still a cloudy day. Got the crew with me, came to give praise. Every year I year like the Rose Parade. Got the crew with me, it's a cloudy day. Every year I year like the Rose Parade. Sun shining bright, came to give praise. Every year I year like the Rose Parade. Got the crew with me, it's a cloudy day. Like Bookie said, how much much for one rib. God put Adam to sleep, took out one rib. Answer priceless result, it was Eve. Wife name on my arm, my heart is on my sleeve. Truth be told, second member, clock group 417. Found a member, only one there when I got started. Had my back, has my back, as she always will. Red and ring, it just bling, all apart his will. Gave me baby lions, daddy love his little girls. Gifts from Zion like they mama, precious pearls. Rep the crew too, featured in my music too. Yeah, I gave me 2 + 2 = 4. Couldn't ask for more. Favorite number 4, something you should know. Holy Trinity plus this man equal 4. Holy Trinity plus me, that just equal 4. Sun shining bright, still a cloudy day. Got the crew with me, came to give them praise. Every year I year like the Rose Parade. Got the crew with me, it's a cloudy day. Every year I year like the Rose Parade. Sun shining bright, came to give them praise. Every year I year like the Rose Parade. Got the crew with me, it's a cloudy day. Sun shining bright, still a cloudy day. Got the crew with me, came to give them praise. Every year I year like the Rose Parade. Got the crew with me, it's a cloudy day. Every year I year like the Rose Parade. Sun shining bright, came to give them praise. Every year I year like the Rose Parade. Got the crew with me, it's a cloudy day. 417, yeah, I love my team. It's a cloudy day. 417, yeah, I love my team. It's a cloudy day.
Welcome back, Cw&P Nation, and welcome to Mission Viejo, California. So happy you're joining us tonight.
Mike, they're not with us in Mission Viejo, California.
Well, technically they are if they're listening to the show and watching us. So, and to all our affiliates, Not by Bread Alone, Power 102, Facebook, YouTube, Roku, tune in. We definitely appreciate all of our listeners and viewers, and our sponsor, Cloud Crew 417, as Hebrew's rocking the shirt here on Facebook, and then obviously whipped up by Wit on Facebook. That would be my wife's page, and obviously Project Pluto.
Platy on Pluto.com.
Well, there you go. And I wanted to go ahead, and this is the most important part of our show. And we talk about Deep Dish every week, and Deep Dish is where we get into the Christian aspect of this show on a little bit deeper level. One of the things that I wanted to go ahead and bring up was setting the example. And obviously in the Bible, setting the example, we're supposed to set a Christ-like example every single day in every way that's possible. And one of the things in setting the example, I brought up athletes in our pre-production meeting like Walter Payton, Jerry Rice, Michael Phelps, obviously a guy like Michael Jordan, who were always putting in the work and leading by example. But they didn't just lead their teams by example. They led their opponents by example. And the reason I wanted to draw that correlation was like this. As Christians, if we're leading by example, then we should be leading the opposition as well in drawing people closer to Christ. And one of the things that we get so caught up in this world
awesome, Big Mike,
is we get caught up in the fact a lot of times that, we're trying to be like the world because we're trying to impress the world. The fact is we should be doing the opposite. We should be the ones that actually are leading by example on a day-to-day basis and letting the world follow us. And I looked up 1 Timothy 4:12, and it says, "Don't anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity." And the reason I brought up that verse was even when people are looking down on you, even when people don't have your best interest in mind, or they're looking at you and they're laughing and, they don't think that you're goofy or you're not a person they should follow because of your Christian faith. We have to stand strong and still set the example. And like great people in history who have been Christians, who have been persecuted, we need to follow through. Jesus is the best example we have of that, because despite persecution and physical beating, mental beating, everything else, he still decided to sacrifice himself on the cross.
Amen.
For our sins, and we are freed from damnation and from hell by that. And we have a chance to set an example and lead others to Christ which I find to be our greatest responsibility here on this radio show and on this earth as believers. What say you, Hebrew?
Hey, man, you know I really love this one, Big Mike. You know what I always say, the greatest testimony we have as Christians is our lifestyle.
Absolutely.
We can say all day that we love Christ. We can say all day that we love people. We can say all day that we'll do anything. You know, Jesus, just give us the opportunity and we'll do your will. But when it comes right down to it, when you're placed with that responsibility of, I'm on the job, I could go off on this coworker, this boss, this customer, but I choose to show them the love of Christ instead.
Right.
When you're at home dealing with your family, and you can be all right to, you know, have a disagreement with your wife, your kids are out of control, and you can react a certain way, or you can choose to show them the love of Christ. These are things I deal with on a daily basis, even on my side of ranch. You know, this week the Lord led me to talk about doing this type of stuff while we're on our jobs. And it was really impressed upon me. That's why I love that what happened with Big Mike this week, because as you can see, the ministry is still one. I didn't plan on doing what I was doing. Big Mike always goes to the Lord before he writes Deep Dish. If you didn't know, it's always inspired by the Holy Spirit. That's just the type of guy he is. So when you see the Holy Spirit working together, even through sides and ranches into our show, you know his plan for your life is perfect. It's there. And, you know, I just want to highlight one thing about being an example. My wife actually was at a McDonald's this week, and she saw a guy on the right in the planter area, and he was literally eating the wood chips out of the planting area and gagging while he was eating. And many people passed him, you know, looking at him crazy on the way to McDonald's. And I was almost in tears when she's telling me, because I know what hunger feels like from being in college, being homeless part of my life with my mother after she passed. We've been through those stages. I never was that hungry, but just to know that somebody is so hungry that they're trying to eat wood chips to fill their stomach. And the scripture clearly says, when I was hungry, did you feed me? And my wife watches people pass this guy. They don't, you know, they're looking at him as if he's crazy. And she got out, you know, the vehicle and wasn't even planning on going there. It was just my kids begging for ice cream. And that was the only reason why, you know, but it was a perfect timing for ministry to happen. And she got out the car and said, whatever you want, you know, go order it. That's something me and my family, we do on a regular basis. If we see somebody hungry, we try to feed them. But that just was one story that happened this week that was really amazing. And it's about, you know, leading by example, as you see many people not feeding this man. And my wife, you know, she chose to feed him, and it was only because of the Christianity inside of her. And this is what Jesus asked. This is what Jesus wants us to do. You know, if I'm hungry, did you feed me? If I'm naked, did you clothe me? How can I do this, they said. He said, well, you did it to the least of these, my little ones. And this is the type of person that was in front of that McDonald's. That's what you did under Christ. So, you know, we lead by example by loving people, strangers that we don't know, that we're not going to get the thank you from, but the thank you's coming in heaven. So this is the greatest way that we have our testimony as Christians. I always say is by our lifestyle, what we do every day, not Sunday, not Wednesday, not choir rehearsal. It's what you do every day to his people out there, showing them love.
Wow, that's extremely well put. Pluto, do you have anything to add to our segment today, sir?
No, that was actually pretty good, Hebrew. Look at that.
I know. I'm
Is he cheating? Is he getting the questions before
No,
the?
not at all.
I feel like
actually,
he
it
had.
was very well put, and shout out to Rashida
Yeah.
for taking care of that, man. That's
Very
amazing.
Well, and this is what we talk about with the Holy Spirit. Like, this is not planned. This is the leading of the Holy Spirit. We love this show because we get to talk sports and we get to talk about the best thing in life, salvation, Jesus Christ.
Without question. Well, I can't put it any better myself, but I just want to remind everybody out there who's listening. It says in 2 Corinthians 5:7 very simply, for we live by faith and not by sight. And just remember that when you're walking with Christ, it's always by faith. You can't necessarily see everything. You have to live by walking with him in faith and not necessarily being able to see everything that he's doing in your life.
And one scripture that just hit my heart while you said that, with faith without works is dead. Works doesn't save you. Works proves your faith in Jesus. And this is all about your example of your life.
Very well put, Hebrew. We're going from our deep dish segment, and now we're headed into the number one segment on Cw&P.
Sweet and sour.
So we're heading into sweet and sour, and lately in the major leagues in baseball, Andy, if you're still watching, you'll like this one, pal. There have been quite a few bench-clearing brawls as of late,
I like
especially with the Orioles and the Red Sox, the Marlins and the Dodgers last night, and the Blue Jays and the Braves after Jose Batista's bat flip. Obviously, bat flips, throwing behind players, hitting players, sliding with spikes up Manny Machado, and various other things have caused a lot of malice lately in baseball. But here's a question, and we'll start with you, Pluto. Are you sweet or sour on the rugged style of baseball and the physical and the just old school throwback type of fighting that we're seeing from these guys?
No, and I don't even think it's that old school. I mean, baseball's always kind of been a pretty brawly sport.
I guess it's a little more publicized right now is the only thing.
And we seem to get like these spurts. So like, in the past week we've had a couple, 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. And if you look, further back, there's big spans where nothing happens.
Right.
But baseball is one of the biggest grudge-holding, never forgetting kind of sport. I mean, I think it's second to hockey, as far as brawling. I mean, even though football is much more whatever, but so no, I like it. I think this is good old-fashioned baseball as long as no one gets really hurt, and no one's being a tyrant out there.
Right.
This is let the boys play. This is good.
I'm 100% sweet on this. I love old school sports. I love throwback. I love being able to look at something and go, hey, those guys really don't like each other. They're not supposed to like each other. That's why they're opponents. But one thing that I will say is this. I actually really do enjoy the fact that the bat flipping and everything else, that people still have emotion in baseball. I feel like there's some of these sports are emotionless because nobody gets to be themselves. In hockey, they just beat the heck out of each other. So obviously that's not the case there. But these people are emotionless in some sports because, I'll get a penalty or I'll get this or I'll get that. There's guys that'll gladly take a 5-game suspension playing pro baseball for a punch to the face of a guy who just flipped their bat and basically, really showed up their pitcher or threw behind somebody and you hit the other guy in the ribs and all this stuff. I love old school baseball. It's what I grew up with. And when you hit somebody or you showed somebody up, you got paid back for it. I'm 100% sweet on it. Absolutely love it. Hebrew?
You know me, I'm always sweet on people having contempt for each other when they're on opposing teams.
Amen.
Makes the game more fun. It lets you know, like we were, both of my Pluto and Big Mike were saying, we know that you guys have passion. We know you're alive, breathing, and well. And I just like to speak to the aspect of the grudges. Even Pluto, it even holds over in the fads. These even the fads of Major League Baseball, this is generational stuff. And I love it, so, fans get good entertaining. They get to see their guys are fighting for them because that's really what we want to see as fans of these sports. We like the passion. And if you guys have bad blood between each other, somebody did something dirty, we definitely want to see the get back. Makes the game a little bit more interesting as baseball, can be drawn out sometimes. So I do appreciate, the passion that the MLB players are showing right now. You don't have to like your opponent. You don't have to go on vacation with them in the off season. Shout out to NBA. You can actually not like the guy that's on the opposite side of you. It's okay. This is sport.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact, too, I love in baseball, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but outside of hockey, it's literally the least politically correct sport, in my opinion, where you can just be you. You can be an individual. You don't have to be on a soapbox all the time. The MLB allows these guys to be who they are. Like it or not, baseball is an individual and a team sport at the same time. So I definitely think we're all sweet on that. So it's great that we all finally agree on something, boys. I mean, that's pretty amazing.
Don't look for it to happen again out there, folks.
No, I don't think it'll happen again. But yesterday, the NBA released their finalists for their postseason awards. And the MVP award, there are 3 finalists: James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and Kawhi Leonard.
Sugar K.
So, Hebrew, let's start with you this time.
Oh, yeah.
Did they get the number and the finalist right for the MVP award?
Definitely. I like exactly, the way they came out this year. A lot of people, they want a top 4, top 5. To me, 3 is just right. As first and second, third place is kind of tradition throughout sport. You get a gold, silver, or bronze medal. There ain't no aluminum medal, So I like that they only used 3 people. I like the people they went with. I mean, you can't ignore what Russell Westbrook or James Harden did over the course of the season. And I know a lot of people are unhappy about LeBron James not making that 3rd spot. But to me, it would be very disrespectful to the year Sugar K had. which is Kawhi Leonard, River Leonard. You got multiple nicknames. With Tim Duncan, retiring, and for him still to have the Spurs playing so great, and as you can see in these playoffs, what happened as he's gone down for these last 3 games, he definitely deserved that 3rd spot in the MVP race. And as far as the actual award goes to, I'm thinking it's going to Russell Westbrook this year. Spencer Barnes, what's up? Thank you for checking in.
What's going on, Spencer?
Hey, Andy, I like your pick. River Leonard is a hometown guy for me. I'm from Riverside, but I still think Russell Westbrook gets it this year.
And I'll chime in next on this. I actually think they not only got it right, I think that Russell Westbrook should be really, really, really happy that they don't vote for this award after the regular season because Kawhi Leonard is the definition of what an MVP is. And it's being proven by him being out with the ankle injury.
I love that point, Mike.
These 3 guys are by far the 3 best players in the league this year. Look, you guys tease me all the time for drinking the LeBron Kool-Aid, but there is one thing I will tell you.
The LeBron James orange soda?
Yes, that's correct. I will tell you this much. LeBron did not deserve to be in this discussion this year for one reason. Because those 3 guys had better regular seasons. But I can promise you this. Any one of those 3 will trade in that regular season MVP for what LeBron has had 3 times, possibly 4 this year if he keeps it up, which is that NBA Finals MVP.
You don't think they're going to give it to Kyrie this year, Mike?
You know what? I would love to see him actually. The guy who should get it if they keep going on the track that they are is Kevin Love because he's literally lighting it up from 3-point range. There's no way I would surpass Kevin Love with how big a factor he is right now. Pluto, where are you at? Did they get the MVPs right?
We got to shout out Josh real quick, Pluto. He's happy LeBron and Steph Curry are not in it. I tend to agree with him. Pretty
I'm
good.
happy too. Yes, I like LeBron and Curry are not there. I'm done with those 2. No, I like the number of 3. I like and the choices are solid.
Very agreeable.
I mean, yeah, you can argue maybe for 1 or 2 other people, but no one is going to be any more overwhelming than the 3 they picked. So, yeah, no, you can't. It's pretty solid.
And Andy Raven, I'm with you. LeBron is definitely the MVP of sitting on that bench crying.
Well, you know what? And here's the thing. Again, I think, and I agree with everybody. I think they got it 100% right. 3 best seasons were voted in the 3 best guys. And, again, Russell Westbrook is going to win it for the regular season. But if they were voting now, River Leonard would have himself a whole new case that he did not during the regular season.
Blah, blah, blah.
Moving on.
Just to that point before we leave, I don't think what happened during the regular season, the only reason why Kawhi Leonard doesn't get it is because Russell Westbrook averaged that triple-double.
Right.
He got the most points, in a triple-double.
Well, that would have a lot to do
What
with
he did, like from a triple-double perspective, is really what's
42
going to win him the career. He beat out the Big O. It was an amazing thing. But as we saw when Big O averaged his triple-double, he didn't win the MVP. So Kawhi Leonard still has a great shot.
And funny enough, the year that Oscar didn't win the MVP, neither did Wilt Chamberlain, and he averaged 50 points a game and 27 rebounds.
And that would be James Harden.
So that's about
River Leonard has a good chance still.
But the difference is Wilt Chamberlain didn't go on a vacation in Game 6.
Wilt Chamberlain would never have done a thing like that.
But anyway, so we move on.
And Mo Soliberry thinks LeBron is the MVP at flopping. I tend to agree.
So going on to the next point. Draymond Green was
Booyah!
So what do we call Draymond Green? Dirty Dre Dre.
Dirty Dre.
And he was running his mouth as usual this week, giving his opinion, and I put it in quotes.
As I always say, the LeVar Ball of the NBA.
Fair enough. And when he said I can't use on this show because we're family friendly and from a Christian perspective, he said it wasn't cool that Klay Thompson got left off the All-NBA teams that were picked earlier this week. Are you guys sweet or sour on Draymond's assessment? And I'll take first. I'm 100% sour on his assessment. First of all, let's go through this. It's a homer pick because he ended up on an All-NBA team on the 3rd team, and Durant and Curry ended up on the 2nd All-NBA team. Draymond, let's make something real clear. If there's a Warrior out of the Big 4 that shouldn't be on an All-NBA team, it's
here you go.
Klay Thompson is a huge part of that team, and I've said before, I think has a better jump shot than Steph Curry. What makes Steph so much more valuable to that team is his handles and everything else that he provides, and he's definitely the emotional leader along with Draymond Green of that team. However, what I will say is this. Klay Thompson has been really overshadowed this year by the addition of Kevin Durant, which Hebrew and I were talking about on the way up to the studio.
I don't even hear Splash Brothers no more.
No, absolutely not. And here's the problem. Klay Thompson is getting shoved to the side for these other three guys, but the fact of the matter is Klay Thompson is the reason that they won when Kevin Durant was out. Klay Thompson literally took over games. Have we so much forgotten that in Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals last year, it was Klay Thompson busting threes on the Oklahoma City Thunder and winning Games 5 and Game 6 in Oklahoma City when they were all but dead to rights. And yes, Klay is a great player. Does he deserve to be on this list? I don't have a qualm with anybody over Klay Thompson. Now, you could bring up, and you did earlier, DeMar DeRozan, which I'm sure you'll get to, but DeMar averaged 27 points a game. His team went to the second round of the playoffs, so I can respect it. But are there better two guards than DeMar DeRozan? Absolutely. So there is a dispute there, but I don't think Klay Thompson got gypped. I just feel like Klay Thompson is underappreciated. Pluto, how about you, buddy?
You know what Klay Thompson's average points per game?
It was about 22.
22. That's not bad.
While playing with a Kevin Durant and a Steph Curry.
And that's a very good point as well. He's getting a lot less shots.
He's getting less. He's seeing the ball less, but I mean that's
Still
a solid.
efficient.
That's a solid number coming
But
off
are you
the.
sweet or sour on the fact he got left off the all NBA teams, the 15 best players in the NBA?
Yeah, I don't know if Clay's in
Wow.
that. I don't know if we can go there.
Is it my turn yet?
Hold
As soon
on.
as Blue
I'm
comes done.
still pontificating.
Wow.
No. I'm sweet on it. I don't. I think I think you can find other guys. I mean, but that's the whole point of this sports stuff is we all give our opinion and we all.
Is that the final score, Mrs. Soliberry?
No, I don't think so. I think they're like 3 minutes still.
Okay, she gave us a 118, 102.
Wow.
Wow.
Warriors just taking. I mean,
Jeez.
this is just.
Anyway, so I'm
ridiculous.
sweet on it. I'm good.
Okay, fair enough. How about for you?
Okay,
Hebrew?
so the fact that Draymond Green said that Klay Thompson was snubbed, I'm definitely sweet.
Okay.
Not that I agree with Draymond on too much, but I definitely have to agree with him here.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who don't know, the first team, James Harden, Russell Westbrook. Can't argue there from the guard slot. Second team, we have Steph Curry and Isaiah Thomas. Can't argue with those two guards.
Mm-hmm.
Then we make it to the third team.
Mm-hmm.
And John Wall and DeMar DeRozan.
Mm-hmm.
This is my question to you out there, CW&P Nation, my co-host, my producer, who didn't say Klay Thompson should be on the team. If there's a one-on-one game, are you putting your lunch money on Klay Thompson or DeMar DeRozan?
If
No,
it's
it's not.
If it's
Because we're talking about a better player.
Okay, wait a minute though. If you're gonna bring up that point, DeMar DeRozan's a way better ball handler than Klay Thompson, and DeMar DeRozan is a better overall offensive player and plays.
But what wins games and championships is defense, and that's what Klay Thompson will shut DeMar DeRozan down on the defensive end, and he doesn't even have to. You know how we play 1-on-1? We check the ball up. He's going to let it go from half court. And he's going to score every point.
So let me ask you a question.
So in my one-on-one game, not only is Klay Thompson a better offensive player, maybe he doesn't have as good of a handle. He definitely has a sweeter jump shot, and when he slashes to the basket, he's going to lay it up or dunk it. But where he's going to be a better player in a team setting or an individual setting is definitely on the defensive end. DeMar DeRozan cannot keep up on the defensive end. If you're talking about a third-team shooting guard, I would even take Bradley Beal over DeMar DeRozan.
That's what I was going to ask
definitely
you.
Klay Thompson over DeMar DeRozan.
So
He definitely was snubbed, and he's been overlooked since Kevin Durant got there. Like I said, I don't hear Splash Brothers anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You don't hear people talk about Klay Thompson. For him still to be able to score 22 with Steph Curry and Kevin Durant taking the shots they're taking, you check his percentage, he's much more efficient. He's great from the three, from the free throw line, on the defensive end, slashing. He's not a liability no matter what he's doing on the floor.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question then. If you're making that case for Klay, would you take Bradley Beal on the third team over Klay Thompson?
No, sir. I'm still going with Klay Thompson for the fact of his defensive prowess, which Bradley Beal cannot keep up with
Well,
either.
that's why they have the NBA all-defensive team, though.
Okay, we're talking about third NBA all.
Right,
I'm not taking any other guard in the league over Klay Thompson at that third spot. And like I was telling you on the way up, on that Ortega,
That's fair enough.
the Warriors better stop, taking Klay Thompson for granted, because there is a guy out there named James Harden who went and got his own team, getting buku bucks, and is the man on his squad.
No, there's no
And
question
Klay Thompson
about that.
definitely has the potential to be your number one option. You put some ball handlers and defenders around him,
Right.
and he could be your number one option, and people would be quite happy having him as the lead role player.
Well, I like that point, so we'll definitely end it
Who
there.
wants
but,
DeMar Rosen by themselves?
But that I cannot argue. So the final part of Sweet and Sour is gonna be this. So
Golden State took that game, Big Mike, 120-108. Thank you, Mo Salaberry.
well, and that's again, this is just the preseason for the Warriors and the Cavs. This week, Tom Brady's wife Gisele Bündchen revealed that Tom Brady had suffered a concussion last season. His agent Don Yee came out, disputed the report, said Brady did not. With concussions being such a big deal and brain injuries being so debilitating for former NFL players, this may be a more serious issue than the NFL is able to handle. Are you guys sweet or sour on the NFL actually being able to make the game safer, being that it has always been inherently violent? Pluto, we'll start with you.
Well, this is a weird one and something I've thought about for a while now, being a Christian and
Right.
basically supporting a sport where people get paid to slam and have car accidents into each other. We like football because of the violence. Let's just put it that way.
Well, sure.
I mean, that's why we're into
That's
it.
why we played it, for that matter.
Right.
That's why I played. Chose it over basketball in high school.
That's why I watched. But we have to do something. We cannot have. First of all, we get any more of these CTE stories or whatever. Moms are going to be putting their kids into little. That's going to start drying up. The NFL's got to do something to make it safer. Else, you're looking at the last 15 years of football, in my opinion, because of this sole brain injury thing. If they can't get it handled, if they cannot show stats, if they can't show improvement, I think eventually, it's sad to say because it's my favorite sport by far. But yeah, they've got to do something, and they got to be proactive, and they've got to be open about it. They can't be hiding. They can't be hiding, reports and studies done by different people. So yeah, I'm sweet on it. I think they gotta do more.
Well, I want to take this, and then Hebrew, we'll let you back clean up on this one. But one thing that I want to say about football is you cannot make it safer.
Nope.
You cannot make it a sport where people don't have car accidents on every play. The approximate speed that people get hit at on a regular tackle is literally with anywhere between 15,000 and 20,000 pounds of force.
But can't you make the equipment better?
Look, the equipment they have is top of the line already. I mean, they literally have customized helmets with different types of padding, different types of headroom, depending on the player. Their pads are so thick at this point, it's hard for half these guys to run. I mean, you can't do much more than what's being done. Now, there's probably technology out there that can make this thing go. But I want to bring up your point that we're looking at the last 15 years of football. You guys, and I don't want to bring this up on a Christian show, but there was a movie a long time ago called Death Race. And one of the things in Death Race is they actually are watching guys go at it on the track, and they end up, their catastrophes on the track, and the guys end up dying. This is the exact same concept. As long as the NFL's a $10 billion entity, this will never go away. The only way, it's like LeVar Ball. The only way that guy's going away is if people stop listening and stop watching. It's the same concept. Football is an inherently violent game, and we're finding out with Tom Brady. And by the way, I understand Don Yee came out and disputed this report. Gisele's his wife. And anybody who has a girlfriend, a wife, a significant other, or what have you, your significant other's going to know when there's something wrong with you, or when there's something off, or when you're sad, or when you're upset, or when you're just not yourself. I understand that Don Yee's job is to come out and say this because the Patriots and Tom Brady can get in a ton of trouble for not reporting something like this. But here's the thing. The NFL obviously does not catch every concussion. They're never going to be able to because guys know how to play through them. And here's the thing. At the end of the day, you have to either accept. Joe Thomas of the Cleveland Browns put this perfectly a couple weeks ago. He said, I understand the risk involved, and I'm willing to deal with it for the rest of my life. That has to be the way you look at pro football now. And let's not forget, these guys who are having problems later on in life, the players are bigger, faster, and stronger now. So even though the equipment has come a long way, the players, their size and their speed have also increased. So will the technology ever catch up? I'm not sure, but I'm 100% sour on the fact that they haven't done enough, but I don't, in all fairness, think they ever will be able to. Hebrew, what say you, buddy?
I'm going to keep my answer short and sweet on this one. There's definitely no way the NFL is supposed to be what it is. Football is violent. Football is a war on the field. Football is everything it's supposed to be. You can't make it much safer. We know the risk going into it all the way from the junior All-American level, all the way up through high school, all the way. People know the risk. Like I said on the way up here, I mean, the only way you can make it safer is switch it into pro flag football. I've already made the decision in my mind through the things that I go through as a, ex-athlete just in high school. My son won't be able to play, tackle football. And that's just to protect him from himself, which I, wish somebody might have done for me. As, it's so hard to get to the NFL and actually make a good living off of this thing. But we know, I knew, we can get hurt. We're crashing into each other like cars. And, when you play football, that's part of the risk of it. That's the major appeal to it. That's why I chose it over football when I was doing two sports in high school. I said I'm going football because I wanted to hit somebody. I wanted to take somebody out.
And that's an excellent point.
So that's what it's about. And if you don't want to, if you don't want to deal with it, then don't play. Change it to flag football. That's the only way you're going to make it safer.
And I would agree with all those points. I think that all three opinions were very well given, and I think that every point in this discussion is by far relevant. But we are up against it. We are going to take our last station break of the night, and when we come back, our dessert platter is going to finish up with our NFL 8 teams over-under for the week, and who we think the top 5 starting NBA players of all time that will not include Dennis Rodman or Scottie Pippen. And we will be back. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, Not by Bread Alone, Power 102, Facebook, YouTube, Roku, TuneIn, and, of course, the FYI studios in beautiful Mission Viejo, California. Last break, and we'll see you in a few moments. This is Cw&P on a Saturday night on FYI.
Woo, whoop.
Soul is enthralled, Jesus is Lord of it all. Most won't answer the call, the hearts are as cold as Montreal. Prior to my new birth, before I was a convert, I was the worst. I'd make you reverse and kick you with my Converse. In your tush, I'm against the push to use kush. You wanna battle but speak worse English than George Bush. You've gotta be kidding, you're under me when I cruise like Nicole Kidman. Married the time when they were trying to make children. Since the rhymes you spill are evil, I hit you with the anvil and give you a Advil pill. As you feel better, I read you all of Paul's apostolic letters and you start to surf harder than We're not of this world like spaces or spaceships. My foot will land on Uranus if you deny my God's greatness. Jesus loves you, he died for you. You violated his law, so he took the punishment as your substitute.
You have uncertainty concerning eternity, but he's revealed his sincerity through fulfilled prophecy. Practice prayer and fasting, then in the mirror wreck your home like Angelina Jolie with Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston. When it comes to rapping, even if I had a list, I'd be so thick you'd still try to copy like reenactments.
Sin was still on my joy like a klepto. I was a psycho, but Christ fixed my insides like Pepto-Bismol. This could not be solved or resolved with massive amounts of money, drugs, or alcohol. The price of following Christ is costly. It costs me control over my body like
Cerebral palsy.
if you diss my God's name, I'll grab a Batman like Bruce Wayne and tattoo your face like the game. I met a psychic guy who tried to tell the future of my life, so I stabbed him in his third eye with Raphael's sign. This is far too easy, please believe me. I'll hack your squad to pieces like Chucky for being cheesy. They love how we're doing this, keeping it as raw as a nudist. Beating up on mics like Lennox Lewis. Whack MCs can't touch us, body slam you like wrestlers, then beat up on your mic like Buster Douglas. You were killing everything in the ring until we came on the scene and stole all your mic work for like Don King.
Our rap causes massive feedback. When it comes to rhyming, most cats fail like Mike Tyson in an English class. I'ma be chillin' with the Mike Tyson analogies, cause I don't want him to find me and then eat my children. I don't rhyme about marijuana. We can battle if you wanna, but I'll eat you alive like Jeffrey Dahmer. I got 5 on my Bible, the other 5 is holding the gavel. English statue eye turning into gravel.
You's a sucker, buster, wanna be hustler. Your mother muster abused you as a baby with the plunger. Cause you're a doo-doo head, misled by what the rapper said. You're living for the moment, but you're already dead. In trespasses and sin, you're living for temporary satisfaction, getting lifted while we're lifting him. We engage in dialect every chance we get, because we don't know who the Lord has chosen to elect. Hey yo, Pluto, what happened, man? Is that it? It's over. Let me get like just a couple more bars, man, but maybe you could bring the guitars in on this one. Yeah? Alright, let's do it. Come on, man. Hey yo, hand me the mic, I'ma start fighting. It's frightening, you get up on stage with me and start talking funny like Mike Tyson. I'm striking like lightning whenever I'm writing, while enlightening, bring a Christ in the cipher whenever we're rhyming. Any secular MC dissing Christianity, I rip him a new B-U-T-T-H-O-L-E. We're tired of the profanity and vanity. I defy gravity and shove my foot up his anal cavity. We're animals, combustible as flammables, eating mechanical MCs like cannibals. Too hot to handle. Your soul is headed for Sheol. You're losing control. You better get a handle.
Like a dresser drawer that this happened, you are explored. The teaching of the Lord before you become a cadaver. Stay on the same path and party to the max like it's your last. Die fast and face the Father's wrath. We don't fear these cats with cats and rap about crack. The God who melts the mountains like wax. He has our backs. Who said Christians can't rap? I'll smack any cat from Team Backpack with a knapsack with the Bible attached.
We battle principalities and powers, empowered by the prowler, seeking whom he may devour. We stay on our toes, fighting against those foes who try to oppose the false gospel under our nose.
Welcome back, CWP Nation, from the beautiful FYI Studios in Mission Viejo, California. If Pluto says it's beautiful, you better believe it out there. In syndication by Not By Bread Alone Radio out of Virginia. Picasso, what up? We got Power 102.1 FM. Tuning in from Boston and Atlanta. Gurleen, thank you so much for, having FYI going for us. We definitely appreciate it. Sponsored by Whipped Up by Whitney, Cloud Crew 417, PlanetOnPluto.com.
Well, tonight, gentlemen, we're going to finish up with the sweetest part of our show. That's going to be our dessert platter. And that is going to also be sponsored by Whipped Up by Wit on Facebook. And obviously, because it's a dessert platter, that makes sense. So, getting through the evening, we've been doing over-unders for the NFL and taking a quick take on how many games, we think the teams we bring up are going to win. We've got a new 8 for you this week. So, we're going to start off with the Chicago Bears, who went 3-13 last season. Hebrew.
Yikes.
The over-under or push for the Bears is 5. What say you?
I'm going under. We keep them right there at that 3 spot.
Wow, so 3-13 back-to-back seasons for the Bears. Pluto, how about you, sir?
Under, but I say 4.
Okay, fair enough. I'm actually going under, and I'm saying 2.
Yikes!
The Bears are going to have a dreadful season. They traded
you got
up.
a bear growling over there, Pluto?
I mean, they literally are looking like the worst team in the NFC right about now. Mitchell Trubisky's not leading them to the promised land anytime soon. The next team up on our list is the Washington Redskins. Obviously, Kirk Cousins lost a couple weapons, this season with Deshaun Jackson parting for Tampa Bay. So the question is, guys, do the Redskins go over, under, or push with 7 wins? Pluto, what do you think?
What was the over under?
7 for the Redskins. Over, under, or push?
Push.
A push at 7-9. Hebrew, what say you?
Lost a little. What was the record last year?
It was 8-8 last year.
8-8. So you're saying we're losing a little firepower.
Mm-hmm.
Only gonna lose 1 game. We'll take an under at 6 on that one.
Okay, I actually have the Redskins under, but I have them at 4-12. I don't actually think the Redskins have much of a team to speak of outside of Kirk Cousins and Terrell Pryor right now. And honestly, they're not actually a team that I'm looking at as having any kind of firepower in any legitimate sense.
I feel we're like in the Twilight Zone if we have to say that the only 2 people you got on your team is Cousins and Terrell Pryor.
Yeah, that's very true.
Like, wow.
Andy tends to agree with everybody with the under. He's giving them only 5 games.
Well, fair enough. Next up, the Lions made the playoffs last year, but this is their every other season. And for anybody who knows the history of the Detroit Lions, their every other season means they don't make the playoffs the following year. So 8 games, Pluto, over, under, or push for the Lions?
Under.
And how many are you giving them?
7.
Okay. Hebrew?
For the Lions, I'm going to go ahead and be a little generous today with the Lions, man. I always loved them back in the day, even though they haven't made anything. We're going to go ahead and give them 9 games. And this is the year they make it back to the playoffs, back-to-back.
Excellent. Well, I'm actually you and I agree on this. I'm giving the Lions 9 games as well. However, I don't think in the NFC that's gonna be enough to get them a playoff spot. But I am going over on the Lions at 9 games. The next team is the team who perennially has the first pick in the NFL draft, and that would be the Cleveland Browns.
I thought you were going to say the Arizona Cardinals.
They were 1-15 last year. Hebrew, how many wins do the Browns get? The over-under is 4.
I'm going under, and we're looking at 0 games this year.
The Browns are going 0-16?
0-16, baby.
Wow. I actually like what the Browns have done amazingly enough. I'm going a little bit over. They're improved, but not by much. I give them 5-11. Pluto?
I like 5-11.
Okay, fair enough. So we agree.
I prefer 7-11 Slurpees, personally.
All right. The Arizona Cardinals were all but in the NFC Championship game 2 years ago. However, they fell off last year and had an abysmal season despite David Johnson being what should have been the Offensive Player of the Year. The Cardinals over-under for wins is at 7. Pluto, what do you think?
Over.
And how many wins are you giving them?
I'm going to say 9.
9-7 for the Cards. All right, Hebrew, what do you think?
Andy, give me your pick. I know you're a Cardinals fan out there. I'll just use your pick. I'm not really up on the Cardinals right now. Are you there, Andy? Wow, the Browns are going 6-10. I asked you about the Cardinals, Andy.
Okay, well, anyway, what's your pick for the Cardinals?
I'm going to go over.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and give them 10 games.
Okay, well, for my
I got Andy 10-6.
For my own personal taste, I actually think the Cardinals are aging, and I think outside of David Johnson, they are not very good. Patrick Peterson's good on defense, and so is Chandler Jones. However, outside of those guys, I can't name anybody on their defensive secondary. Oh, sorry, Tyrann Mathieu. So 3 people. But I think the Cardinals are pushing. I think they're going 7-9 again. I don't see them making the postseason or making a run at the NFC West in any way. Next up are the Cincinnati Bungles, and they obviously have had their
What did you just say?
The Cincinnati Bungles, or Bengals, as they're appropriately called. We have them at 6 games on the over-under. Chainsaws running in the background and everything. Hebrew, you like the Bengals over, under, or push at 6 games?
Under 4 games. I don't think the Bengals are doing too much this year.
Wow.
Or should I say the Bungles?
And Pluto, how about yourself?
I didn't think they were still playing.
Wow.
Cincinnati still has football, Pluto.
Over 5 games.
No, the over-under was 6.
Oh, it was 6?
Yes.
Under 5 games.
Okay, fair enough. I actually have the Bengals pushing. I got them 6-10. I think they're going to have another poor season, and I think Unfortunately for Marvin Lewis, this will finally be his last year in Cincinnati. The Indianapolis Colts had a ton of injuries and underperformed last year in a major way, but they still have Andrew Luck at quarterback. It seems that they've shored up their defense a little bit, and their offense has gotten slightly better. Over under 7 wins, Hebrew, for the Colts.
I'm feeling a little lucky. I'll go over, give them 8.
Okay. And then Pluto, how about yourself? 7 wins for the Colts, over, under, or push?
Push.
Okay, so a 7-9 season. I personally like the Colts a little bit better this year. I'm going over, but I'm only putting them at 8-8. I think they're improved, but not improved enough, and that defense still has a lot of holes. Our final one for the night, and this is an intriguing one just due to the fact that, they're perennially a playoff team generally under John Harbaugh. The Baltimore Ravens missed the playoffs last year. Over under 8 wins for the Ravens. Go ahead, Hebrew.
For the Ravens, Baltimore, we go under 7.
Okay, so under at 7. Pluto, how about yourself?
I like that. I like under 7.
Okay, I'm actually going over on this one. I like the Ravens at 9-7, but I like them to stay pat where they're at as far as their record last year. Real quickly, we asked Josh
The
Sullivan.
moment you all been waiting for.
The moment you've all been waiting for, as Hebrew has mentioned. I want to go ahead and get to our NBA starting top 5 of all time. Josh Soliberry, our guest on Hebrew's Home Fries, was kind enough to share with us what he thought. We were in disagreement with several of those picks.
Several.
But, Pluto, we're going to start with you. Or actually, Hebrew, why don't we defer to you real quick? Who is your all-time NBA starting top 5?
It's pretty good. I love the question. Easy. My top 5 definitely beating anybody out there. I got Magic at the 1, Jordan at the 2, T-Mac at the 3.
Very nice. Okay.
And I'm going with Charles Barkley as my power forward. And, of course, the big statue, Shaq Diesel, bringing it home at center.
All right, fair enough. For my top 5, I went with Magic at the 1, Michael Jordan at the 2, quite obviously. LeBron James is my small forward
No,
at
Josh,
the 3.
you're just wrong.
Then I've got at my power forward position, I have Tim Duncan, who's got 5 rings, who's arguably the greatest forward to ever play. And then my center is definitely Shaq Diesel, the most dominant player at that position possibly ever. So that's my NBA starting top 5. And what do you say, Pluto?
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. I would say Magic 1, Jordan 2, Shaq at center, LeBron. I guess you got to throw LeBron in.
Mm-hmm.
Who would be my 3? Who'd you guys say?
Well, mine was LeBron.
My 3 was Tracy McGrady, T-Mac.
Yeah, no, LeBron.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, LeBron.
So Pluto has.
What about the 4, Pluto?
I believe. Did he not say that?
Did I not say that?
You did not, sir.
Your power forward.
Yeah.
Would you like some options?
Yes.
Charles Barkley, Karl Malone,
Oh, we
Tim
talked.
Duncan.
Sean Kemp.
Duncan.
Duncan. Okay, so Duncan at the 4, LeBron at the 3. So anyway, those are our NBA starting top 5s. Again, if you want to chime in, you can always do it on Cw&P, and that's on Facebook. And again, if you want to chime in with your comments, you can leave them there. We also are excited to let you know that CW&PNation.com is getting stronger by the week.
Yeah.
And it is starting to become a fantastic website. Shout
Please
out Project
stop,
Pluto.
Josh. I cannot believe you think
Yeah,
Pippen is better than LeBron. I don't even like LeBron James. Please
Wow.
stop.
Yeah, exactly. A couple.
Danny Ainge, are you kidding me, Andy?
I mean, Danny Ainge is like
Stick to
oh,
baseball and wrestling, Andy.
goodness gracious. Just a quick update on your local teams. This was done before tonight's show. The Dodgers sit at 25-18, the Angels at 22-22, and the Padres at 15-29. No surprise there; they are awful. And then obviously, we want to leave a couple minutes at the end of the show, but I have a quick question for my producer and my co-host.
Rajah Bell. This is not NBA Jam. TE.
Andy, here's an idea. Please don't chime in on any more NBA conversation. You're bringing Raja Bell.
I can't believe he said that.
Wow.
You're on fire. That's all I gotta say.
I mean, Andy, we love you to death, but Raja Bell and Danny Ainge is in no one's top 100. So, I mean, honestly, but hey, we love you anyway, man. I want to get a quick one in before the end of the show. Of all the NBA snubs for the All-NBA team that we just talked about earlier, who is your biggest snub for you two guys?
Chris Paul, definitely. Should have at least made third-team NBA. Y'all kidding me? Did you see the season that he had? Were y'all even watching NBA?
Oh, my God.
Chris Paul.
So Chris Paul gets your vote. How about you, Pluto? Who did not make the All-NBA team that you felt should have? Dwayne Wade did not. Okay, fair enough. So we've got a vote for Dwayne Wade and Chris Paul, both gimps
What
this
about
year.
you, Mike?
I honestly.
Oh, wow. Chris Paul was no gimp.
Well, he was for half the season.
All right. Well, do you not want to make your pick?
But no, I'm making my pick right now. I actually feel like, and I know that Hebrew adamantly disagrees with me.
Adamantly.
But I feel like the biggest snub was Karl Anthony Towns, who averaged 25 points, 12 and a half rebounds a game, and was the first player in the history of the NBA to score 2,000 points in a season, have over 1,000 rebounds in a season, and hit 100
Yeah, it's just about the same, Andy Raven, as a Jeremy Lin snub. I'm with you on that. I do like yours, Josh. Mike Conley, underrated. He's one of the most underrated players. He could have made a team as well.
Well, let me ask you a question. Would you take Mike Conley over Wall, Curry, or Westbrook?
I'd take him over Wall. Mike Conley's a beast.
Wow, that's a little surprising on
he
that.
He slept on.
So anyway, Chris Paul, Dwayne Wade, and Karl Anthony Towns,
and
obviously.
Mike Conley.
Obviously, and Mike Conley, actually a very good chime in there by Josh. So, Hebrew, I know how you like to close out the show, brother,
sir.
so why don't you go ahead and do your thing?
Well, people out there, Facebook land, YouTube, Roku, TuneIn, Not by Bread Alone, FYI, Power 102 FM. I know there's a few non-believers out there. You know, you might have caught the show with one of your believing family members or friends, or you might have just came across this on Facebook Live as we share into many groups out there. And, you know, just on your daily, some kind of way you came across this, and you have that question, how do I get on that winning team? It's pretty simple to become a Christian, man. All you got to do, believe that Jesus came off of his throne in heaven, came down here, was beat and chastised for your sins. He was died, crucified, rose again in 3 days. You believe that, and you can become saved. After that, you just need to make that public confession. Just go out in the street, tell somebody, call your mom, call your dad, call your brother. Let them know, I believe in Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. And then you're on the winning team. You're on the track. Let the Holy Spirit do all the rest. Don't worry about, I'm not good enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm not ready. Come as you are, as the Bible says, and let the Holy Spirit do all of the doctrine, all of the mechanic work. Don't worry about that part. And right before we go, just want to say a quick prayer. All the listeners out there, may God bless you in your week, on your daily work, your daily grind, your daily hustles. May God bless you and your families. May God win a soul in your family. You know, the one that you're looking like, if they were just saved, they'd be on the right track. That's my prayer for you this week. One of your family members might see Christ. We pray for all the homeless out there, everybody in prison. We hope that you find the love of Christ and somebody comes and visits you with the love of Christ. And that's just our prayer, that you can find the love of Christ this week and exhibit the love of Christ, all you Christians out there, so somebody can say, I want to be like him. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Anything else, fellas?
Well, I just want to again say thank you so much to all the listeners and viewers on Not by Bread Alone, Power 102 FM out of Boston and Atlanta. Obviously, all of our wonderful viewers on Facebook and YouTube, obviously the Roku and the TuneIn app. And again, a big shout out and thankfulness to Mission Viejo Christian Church and the FYI Ministry Studios here. Just a fantastic, another great week. I mean, we have a great week every week. We do want to throw it out there. If you are looking for a sponsor on a show that's different and has a niche and is from a Christian perspective that's good for the whole family, we are definitely taking your calls and emails, and just give us a shout out and we'll be happy to talk to you. But I definitely want to give a special thank you to Joshua Salaberry, who was our first Hebrew's Homestyle Fries.
Thanks, Josh.
And we appreciate you being on, man. Thank you.
Shout
to your
out
whole
Carrie.
family.
Shout out Colleen.
And thank you all very much. It's been a pleasure. It's been a blessing. And for myself, Big Mike, for my
Till
co-host
next week.
Hebrew, and for our producer, the wonderful Project Pluto, this is Big Mike and Hebrew signing off. Salute to the fans.
We'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.
Peace.
Same bat time, same bat channel.